Hey, what's going on everyone? Crypto Austin here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin and what it's going to take to get to the $2 million mark. This year has started off a little rocky for Bitcoin and a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. We're seeing some corrections happening, we're seeing some dips, we're seeing some expanding and contracting in the market, and Bitcoin is slated to hit possibly around the 7,800 mark or so, or trade at that number. And I want to talk a little bit about that so we can all get a pretty good perspective of what's going on and what we can expect at this point, right? So let's go through. The first thing I want to talk about is news. Here you have RBC report, crypto and blockchain could unlock $10 trillion market. This came out January 3rd, but I thought I'd bring it up now just to go over with you guys here a little bit about it. So the report also asserts that the market for cryptocurrency mining is here to stay, arguing that there is currently existing at least 4.2 billion market for Bitcoin mining equipment, with an additional 350 to 450 million for other ASIC mining cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and so on and so forth. And you can read this article here. Google, it's called Crypto and Blockchain Could Unlock $10 Trillion Market. And so there's a lot of talk about the $10 trillion mark, right? If we watch this video here, this was one of the only videos I could find dated from January 4th that talked a little bit about it. We'll watch a few minutes on it here. It's on the channel for Dr. Crypto Head. He puts out all these, I don't know if it's a he or she, but puts out all these videos about CNBC. So let's watch pieces of it.
Is picking up steam. So just how big is the crypto market? So big that the co-founder of Ripple, a leading digital currency, is now richer than Mark Zuckerberg. Our Bob Pisani is live at the NYSE breaking down the latest on the Bitcoin boom. Bob.
Hello, Melissa. It's changing. So how big is the cryptocurrency market? Well, it's getting bigger, but it's not because Bitcoin's getting bigger. Bitcoin may still be the king of the cryptocurrency hill, but it's been fairly quiet in the last few weeks, while the upstarts have made impressive gains in the past month and even this past week. So look at this. Ripple and Ethereum combined are now almost 85% of the market capitalization of Bitcoin. That's a huge change from a while ago. And the total market cap of the top 100 cryptocurrencies now roughly $686 billion. Oh boy, that's a big jump from even a few months ago, but it's still small compared to the broader market. This is the way I like to look at it. So for example, the small cap Russell 2000 stock market is a market cap of about $2.5 trillion. So cryptocurrencies are only 1/4 the size of the small cap stock market. And it's way below the $25 trillion value for the S&P 500, and the roughly $38 trillion value of the U.S. bond market. It's even way below the value of all the gold in the world, which is currently maybe a little more than $7 trillion. So the big issue is this. How big will federal and state regulators allow these cryptocurrencies to become before they step in with even more regulation? Back to you, Melissa. And my guess is you start seeing $2, $3, $4, $5 trillion valuations, that's going to be a trigger.
All right, Bob, thank you. Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange. Well, Wall Street firm RBC is so bullish on the crypto craze that it is calling it a...
All right, so and this part's pretty interesting here. Talks about
$10 trillion opportunity. Yeah, you heard me right, $10 trillion. Let's bring the man behind that bold call, Mitch Steves of RBC Capital. He joins us now from...
All right, and you could watch that that piece there yourself, but basically talking about a $10 trillion market. This was back in January 4th, 2018. So there's a lot of conflicting news, right? You have some that are coming out that are bad, some that are coming out that are good, and it's making the market very confusing and people not sure about cryptocurrency itself. And I really just wanted to focus this moment on the big one, on the main one, which is Bitcoin. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin is the one that most people are introduced to cryptocurrencies and know about. It's the one that most people, if you ask them about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin just jumps out there, right? So look that up, look that video up. It's pretty interesting stuff. You go to the channel Dr. Crypto Head here, always puts out some CNBC videos there. I couldn't find one on the CNBC site, and so this is the one I resorted to. You have other conflicting information out there, like for example here, The Guardian, back in, what was the date of this thing here? this might have actually been today, on the 15th of January, put out that, so you're thinking about investing in Bitcoin, don't. And it tells you not to invest in Bitcoin. And it talks a little bit about it. And it's a really silly article because here it's going back to some craziness. It's the reason why it isn't, that it's not an investment, just as gold, tulip bubbles, beanie babies, and rare baseball cards are also not investments. And it, just comical to read this stuff, right? So this conflicting message is confusing the people that are trying to get into cryptocurrencies and making the situation even worse, okay? And I want to clear some of that up and just tell everyone that, you got to put your skin in the game, just a little bit of it. Check these things out. Do your investigation, do your research, and what you'll find at the end is that it's not what the news or media is putting out to be, right? Some of the projections are sometimes fairly accurate. If you follow Mike Novogratz, he usually makes predictions and he's strangely correct. So, and he was with Goldman Sachs, I believe, for a number of years, and he knows intel that probably most people don't. So really good one to follow on Twitter or other channels there. All right, so the other thing is talking a little bit about blockchain. If anyone has a question about blockchain, isn't really 100% on it, there's an article here, What is Blockchain Technology? A Step-by-Step Guide for Beginners. You can look this up on blockgeeks.com. I'm not promoting BlockGeeks. It's just an article that I was searching through that I thought would explain a little bit about what blockchain is for folks that are not aware. Vitalik is on here from Ethereum, and it's neat because his portion talks about transparent and incorruptible. The blockchain network lives in a state of consensus, one that automatically checks with itself every 10 minutes, a kind of self-auditing ecosystem of the digital value. The network reconciles every transaction that happens in 10 minutes intervals. He's talking about transparency, and it cannot be corrupted, and that's one of the benefits of blockchain. And his little blurb here talks about blockchain solves the problem of manipulation. When I speak about it in the West, people say they trust Google, Facebook, or their banks, but the rest of the world doesn't trust organizations or corporations that much. I mean, Africa, India, and Eastern Europe, or Russia. It's not about the places where people are really rich. Blockchain's opportunity are the highest in the country that haven't reached that level yet. So really interesting blurb there. All right. So let's dive in and look at what it would take to get Bitcoin to the $2 million mark, okay? And you're probably thinking, man, this dude is crazy, he's nuts, his math doesn't make sense, or whatever. And what I would encourage you to do is just sit down, do the numbers yourself, look at the projections. And what it normally does is once you do these projections, it dampers all the news that's out there, all the media, all the negative press. It really dampers that down. So you start seeing things through new lens, right? You start seeing things the way they should be seen. And so the first thing I want to look at is the trends, okay? We want to see popularity. Now we know if I ask you right now, think of a cryptocurrency that you think most people Google and is more popular than Bitcoin, okay? Just think of one. It could be any cryptocurrency out there. And think of one that they would Google more than they would Bitcoin, okay? And I'm gonna give you a second to do that. All right, did you think about it? All right, so you have one cryptocurrency that you're thinking about that they Google either at par of Bitcoin or more than Bitcoin, okay? And we're gonna look at the charts together and see if that really aligns with reality, all right? So, let's go to the first page here. The first one here, what I did was I Googled some of the Bitcoin wannabes, okay? There's a bunch of them out there, and I hate to say wannabes, but when they use the name Bitcoin on it, they're riding on the Bitcoin coattail, and to me, it's like a wannabe in my head. Maybe they're not wannabes in real life, but in my head they are, okay? So I put Bitcoin here, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin God. This is one of my favorite ones currently. I don't know why, but I thought that was a pretty funny name there. This is in the Google's trends. You could do this yourself. And when we scroll down, look at the dots. Blue is going to be Bitcoin. Red is going to be cryptocurrency. Yellow is going to be Bitcoin Gold. Green is going to be Bitcoin Cash. And purple is going to be Bitcoin God. And if we scroll down, and let's go down here. All right, so let's look to see where Bitcoin, oh, and this one is actually misspelled. So I'm just going to change that. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. All right, so if we look at the chart here, you're going to see that this is how much interest they get over time, okay? So you see all this information here. See that? All this information. You see. So let's start with Bitcoin first. Bitcoin's the blue one. So you see all this here, and you can see the interest, right? And you can see how the interest falls off, and it correlates directly with the price. If you've seen my previous videos, I've mentioned that generally I would like to buy Bitcoin if it's below this 50 mark right here, okay? Below 50 right here. And if it's below 50, that's usually an indicator that's a good time to buy because the price is low enough. If you look at other cryptocurrencies, like cryptocurrencies in general, you see they're also taking a spike down, okay? And they don't match the same interest as Bitcoin does. You look at Bitcoin Gold, is nowhere to be found, right? It was popular, I think, here when it first launched in, what is that, October, November area. And then Bitcoin Cash is, I don't even know where it is. There was a spike December 17th through the 23rd, but after that, it's died off, right? And then Bitcoin God, which is a funny one that I thought I'd throw in there. So anyways, what this tells me is that out of all cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, Bitcoin prevails as king no matter what the other cryptocurrencies are doing, no matter what the market's doing. People are searching for Bitcoin, right? They're searching and they're looking for Bitcoin. If we scroll down, it gives us a little bit more information, like which countries is doing what, right? And so you'll see here, the blue is folks actually looking for Bitcoin. Look at that. You have Bitcoin Gold in one part of Africa here, which looks like pretty interesting because that whole area is actually yellow. And then you have everything else red, which is all the other cryptocurrencies. You don't find Bitcoin Cash anywhere here. No one's searching Bitcoin Cash, and no one's searching Bitcoin Gold here, right? One caveat, and keep this in mind, some countries, especially Asian countries, they like to work with their own technology, search engines, and that sort of thing, right? And I believe in China, they have search engines like Baidu, and so it won't show up in Google Trends. I actually tried to use it to find this information and wasn't successful doing it. But because they don't have that search engine, you're not going to see a whole lot of activity coming from those countries, right, that maybe use different search engines. If you scroll down, and what's interesting is if you scroll down, you could get a taste of what related queries are, right? And usually what you'll see is currently you'll see Binance, IOTA, Bitcoin Gold Fork, CME Bitcoin Futures, and IOTA again, okay? IOTA seems to be showing up on every single one of these, right? And one of the things about IOTA, and you've heard me talk about this previously, is that, you know, it's feeless transactions, right? At least that's the goal that they're shooting for. IOTA did have a hack happen recently, which wasn't directly related to IOTA's technology itself, I don't believe. I'll have to go back and do a little bit more research on it. But what's interesting is IOTA is showing up quite a bit. The other one that's showing up quite a bit is Binance. Binance is showing up a ton, okay? Not only is Binance cheaper to use than most exchanges out there. I mean, if you go to Binance and you compare the prices between Binance, Bittrex, Poloniex, and some of these other exchanges, you're going to find that Binance prevails. They are much less in fees. I'm talking about much less. I've been using them for a while, and they are, you could probably save 75% more than you would with other exchanges if you just go out and do some of that research. I might do it for you guys and show you on the video, but if you haven't signed up for Binance, sign up with them. Sign up with Binance. They're a great exchange. If you scroll down here, you could do interest by region, and you could see what the interests are. You'll see it in the red here. And again, these other related queries show up. IOTA, Binance, Tron, NEO, Tron. You see that? And IOTA seems to show up all over the place. If you scroll down even further for Bitcoin Gold, and these are, you know, for Bitcoin here, this is cryptocurrencies here, and this one here is Bitcoin Gold here. You could see where Bitcoin Gold is usually looked at. Here you have Bitcoin Fork, Bitcoin Gold Fork, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash price, right? And so I think when people are looking at Bitcoin Cash, they're also looking at Bitcoin Gold at the same time, because Bitcoin Gold is less than Bitcoin Cash, and their technology versus Bitcoin Cash, at least to me, seems a little bit more complete, right? And then you go to Bitcoin Cash here, and you'll see where they're at. And you'll see most people that are looking at Bitcoin Cash, they're also looking up Bitcoin Cash news on related queries, BCH, Ripple, BCC, which used to be Bitcoin Cash's ticker, BCC, right? And BCC was also BitConnect's ticker. BitConnect's ticker was BCC. And it's interesting to see BCC Bitcoin Cash, right? Because if BitConnect tickers were BCC and Bitcoin Cash was BCC, it could be pretty confusing for people getting into the crypto space. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see Bitcoin God. Not a lot of movement there, but similarly. And so anyway, so that first part, it shows you against Bitcoin. Now let's look at it against some of the top blockchains out there, like so you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, I put NEO, and I even put EOS here, okay? I could add another one here, but I didn't have the time to do all that. So if we scroll down here, you could see how Bitcoin is doing versus all of them. You would probably think out of all the coins that you picked in your head that people were searching more than Bitcoin, right? And were more interested than Bitcoin, would probably be something like Ethereum or NEO, right? Or something like that. Well, NEO, keep in mind, it is coming from Asia, and I'll show you here in just a minute, but it is coming from Asia, and it may not show up on the map complete. But let's go through and look at the chart here so we can look at it by region. So you can see blue is Bitcoin, still dominating. Look at that. You're talking about almost every single country outside of some outliers here, every single country looking up Bitcoin. You have some looking up Ethereum, which looks like the Asian countries here. NEO in different places, maybe, is that Venezuela, Peru, Chile, Indonesia. So NEO. And then EOS, which, you know, is pretty popular right now, is Kazakhstan, right? EOS. Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Belarus. If you scroll down, you're going to see the same thing that we talked about earlier. On Bitcoin, you're going to find Binance, you're going to find CBOE Bitcoin, you're going to find IOTA. Remember, IOTA keeps coming up. IOTA keeps coming up, right? Here you find Ethereum. Again, Ethereum, NEO, Binance, again, and IOTA, and Ripple Curse. The other one, NEO, you find NEO cryptocurrency, Bittrex, NEO crypto, so on and so forth. And NEO is probably the most solid one out of the search queries here because it's actually mentioning NEO. And then if you go EOS, EOS has Canon. So anyways, you see that EOS ICO there, so on and so forth. And so why am I bringing this up, right? And let me just look at something here because I want to make sure that this was actually correct. Why am I bringing this up? It's because the trends don't lie. Wherever the trends are at, that's usually how we're doing, okay? And the market contracts, right? It expands. It'll tighten up, you know, meaning we're selling off, and then it grows again, and it expands and expands. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you what I mean by that, okay? Because sometimes when it expands or it contracts, we think that it's actually going down, when in reality, it's just making some corrections, preparing us for the next move, okay? I also went through and looked at Bitcoin versus some of the top currencies, not all of them. I just did Ripple, Cardano, Litecoin, and Dash, because those are some of the interesting ones here. And you'll see Ripple has massive popularity, but despite its popularity, it's still not, I mean, we're talking about Bitcoin doing double the numbers in terms of popularity and search in Google Trends. If you look at interest down here, you're going to see that the two that dominate the most is Bitcoin and Dash. See that? So Bitcoin and Dash are being looked up constantly. And then Bitcoin versus everyone else. Again, you're going to find Binance, IOTA, right? CME Bitcoin Futures and IOTA again. If you go into Ripple, you're going to find IOTA, Binance Ripple, right? If you go to Cardano, you're going to find Bitcoin, Cardano cryptocurrency, Ripple cryptocurrencies. And then if you go to Litecoin, you're going to find IOTA, Binance, again, Binance. And if you look at Dash, there's all sorts of stuff I can't pronounce there, okay? But just really interesting to see all the countries that are supporting it. So when you're thinking about a market that's actually going down and it matches Google Trends, that's a great indicator to see what volume is actually coming in. One thing we know for a fact when looking at stocks or cryptocurrencies is that when the market's going down and there's some bad PR happening, people tend to stay back, right? And tend not to look it up as much and tend not to be as hype. And as soon as it's hyped up again, you see those numbers fluctuate back up, right? But this is a really great indicator. So if you hear, you know, oh, well, this coin is doing this and it's amazing, it's doing that, and it's going to be at this number and so on and so forth. But if it doesn't have the market to support it, it's a little bit hard to say that it's actually going to get there or be there, right? You have to, I mean, people follow what's happening, right? They're following what's going to happen. So, by no means does it mean that all of these are bad or don't have a great following. I know Dash has a great following, Litecoin has a great following, Cardano has a great following. It just shows you the strength of Bitcoin versus all the other cryptocurrencies, right? So when we're looking at that market capitalization, and we're looking at the, we're going right here, you're looking at the BTC dominance and you see it at 34% or whatever, you know, yes, that is a scary number because Bitcoin is usually at 50 or 60%, but just know that it's not going to be there forever because it is extremely popular. People are looking this up all the time, okay? The other thing I wanted to look at is the world population. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm getting you guys ready to see how we're going to get to the number of Bitcoin getting to 2 million, okay? And how easy that's going to be. So, and I don't mean easy as in it's going to happen overnight or anything like that. I just mean easy in terms of numbers, right? Because we know as the market goes up and down, it's not easy, especially if you're staring at the charts all day or looking up the price every 5 minutes. It could be gut-wrenching at times, right? So you see here that the based on the world population in the wiki of 2017 is 7.6 billion, right? The world population was estimated to have reached 7.6 billion as of December 2017. Okay, 7.6 billion. Keep that in the back of your head, okay? We're going to go to the next chart here, and this is a bit info charts, okay? And what this tells us here is how much Bitcoin is actually out in circulation to give you an idea of how much is out there, okay? So if you look at this here, what you're going to find is the addresses, right? The percentages, the total coins, how much US dollar value it is, and the percent of the coins here, okay? So you see 0.001, right? There's, what is that? 15,382,386. And then you keep going all the way down, you keep going all the way down. And one neat thing you'll find is that there's only 3 addresses in the world containing 100 to 1 million or more Bitcoins, okay? That's only 3 addresses, okay? If you look at this, remember, we have over 7 billion people in the world. And if you add up all these numbers here, and let's see here. It doesn't give me an exact number. But if you add up all these numbers here, you can see and do the percentage of people that are actually involved or own a complete Bitcoin, or own, like, for example, from owning one complete Bitcoin to 10 Bitcoin, you have, what is that? Sorry, I can't see very well. Need to wear my glasses. 542,854. There's only 542,000 people in the world that have one complete Bitcoin or more. And then you go further than that, 10 or more, you have 131,000. 100 or more, you have 15,000. 1,000 or more is 1,500 or more people in the world that have a complete Bitcoin. And so, you know, based on this information, we still have a long way to go. We haven't hit anything yet in terms of number of people that have Bitcoin currently, right? So we still got a long way to go. So, and it's going to grow. There's no other place to go. It's not like the world is shrinking or the population is shrinking, and the technology is there. You see the popularity, right? So it can't go down. So what you know for a fact is what I've been telling everyone on every single video is that, you know, they take profit. The market makers, the whales, the institutions, the banks, whatever, whoever's putting money into these things, they take profit and they take it whenever they want, and they'll take it down to the last dollar. But it doesn't mean that it's going to kill it. It just means that it's preparing it for the next bump up, because whatever they take, they actually have to settle back in, right? So if you go here, the next one on the same bit info charts, you're going to see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and you could click on those and you could find out a little bit about them, right? And it's very interesting because you'll hear a lot of conflicting information. Oh, this coin is better than Bitcoin. This coin does this better than Bitcoin. This technology is better than Bitcoin. And when you look at it, and I'll give you an example here. For example, there was some folks talking about Bitcoin Cash having faster blocks and all this other stuff. But if you look here, right, what you're going to find is the transactions per last 24 hours, right? Tons of transactions. Ripple's actually pumping out over 1 million transactions in the last 24 hours. Average per hour, it gives you that as well, right? So the average transaction for Bitcoin per hour is 9,986. If you look at Ethereum, it's 37,000. You look at Bitcoin Cash, 987. 987, and that's not even 1,000, it's just 987. You have Litecoin at 2,400 and Dash at 354. And Litecoin is looking really good, and it's actually a very fast transaction. I sent a couple today, and it went through very, very quickly. And if you keep scrolling down, you can see at block times, right? So currently Bitcoin's at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. You have, what was this one? Ethereum at 14.5 seconds. You have Bitcoin Cash at 9 minutes, 7 seconds, right? And you have Litecoin at 2 minutes and 23 seconds and Dash at 2 minutes and 39 seconds. So Bitcoin is not too far off, right? It's not too far off there. And you can scroll down and look at it, average per hours, lots of good information. So if anyone tells you, hey, this coin is better, or this coin does this and this coin does that, and they're spending a lot of media money and they're really trying to go out there and pump this thing, come in here and do some basic research on the cryptocurrencies itself and see how it's performing, right? So that way you could get a clear picture. And we talked about this before. If marketing, if propaganda, whatever is moving you, then you're not making your own decisions. And it's really important that you make your own decisions, because if you make your own decisions and it doesn't turn out well, you can at least be responsible for that, right? But if it's not, then you're just doing decisions based on other people's ideas or other people's information. Similarly, don't listen to me. Go out and do your own research, okay? I'm just giving you my experience and sharing my journey with you guys and documenting this on YouTube. Also, keep in mind, I'm not your financial advisor. Everything that we're talking about here is just us having a conversation. It is not me telling you to go out and invest on anything, including Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't recommend anyone do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing, and that they would consult with their financial advisor before they do any of that, okay? So here you could search all of the different cryptocurrencies, things like that. and just go through and look at them yourself. You know, I encourage you, go out there and do your own research. Now for the cool part, okay? Now for the cool part. Let's talk about the numbers, all right? And I know this is going to sound way optimistic, and I know I'm crazy, okay? I've never said I was normal. I might be crazy, but let's look at the numbers here real quick. All right, so I'm projecting Bitcoin to hit $200,000 by the end of 2018, and this prediction may be completely bogus, okay? But just think about that for a second. Let's go through the math here. In 2017, it started the year at 1,046, okay? Started the year at 1,046. I remember that day. I remember it starting the year at about 1,046, okay? It ended the year 20 times that, so at 20,000, okay? It didn't really end the year because we had a few more days before the year ended. I'm just counting that as the end of the year, okay? So if it continues that trend in 2018, here's what the numbers are going to look like. In 2018, at 10K, let's say it's at $10,000, not that it's at 20,000, but let's say we lose half of what it did in 2017, which is it hit 20,000. Let's say it actually goes down to 10K. So that means from the beginning of the year when it did hit 10K, let's multiply that by 20, which would be the similar performance as 2017 here. You would have 200,000 by the end of the year. By 2019, if it duplicates that same performance, and let's say it hits 200,000 and it loses half of that, and it goes down to 100,000, and it starts 2019 at 100,000. You times that by 20, and you have 2 million. If it goes to 2020, at 1 million, okay, which is half of 2 million. You times that by 20 and you have 20 million, okay? Now, those are pretty optimistic numbers. Is it going to do that? I'm not sure. But if it does anything it did the previous year, and we look at the population that's out there that's not currently involved in cryptocurrencies, we look at how the trends are going, right? It could support that. It really could support those numbers. It could support those numbers. And if we broke it down even further, we can see how it could support those numbers, okay? So, what do I mean by all this? All right, so let's look at the chart. All right, and let me go back here. Sorry, I need to sign in, honestly, whenever I'm doing videos, because every time I don't sign in, that thing keeps popping up. So, let's go through here real quick, and we're going to discuss this, okay? And let me just pull it back where it was. Let's see here. All right, so let's keep going. 24. Here we go. All right, so let's have a look here. This is BTC USD Coinbase trading view chart, right? And we see here 2016, January 2016, here's where it was, right? It went down, 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 down. It grinded out for about 3 or 4 months. In May, it, stayed plateaued, and then it took a spike up, right? And this was back in June 16th. And this was back in 2016. Then it came back down, right? And then it came back up, and it hit its highest peak. At this point right here, it was at $773. At this point here, it was at $1,100, right? And then it came down. And today is the 23rd. And this right here, this mark right here, right, is the 24th, okay? And from the highest peak here of around 1,200 or so, down to, what is that? It actually went down really far here, went down to 743. That's almost half of what it gained here. And then it bounced back up, right? So this was the 24th. Is this the bubble? Is this the part where, oh, it hit $1,000, it's going to fall. It's going to collapse, right? Well, let's look at the chart a little bit more. Did it collapse? Did it collapse? Is it collapsing yet? Is it collapsing? At what point does it start collapsing? Right? What point does the bubble start bursting, right? At what point? And just look at the chart slowly here. Look at the chart. There's many dips, many corrections, and we talked about an excess of 50%, losing over 50%. You take, for example, September here, where it was 49.53, and it went all the way down to 29.98, right? .60, lost 40% there, right? What was this one here? Another big one, lost almost 50% there, right? That's 48% or so, whatever that number is. So here we go. We keep going, right? So was this the bubble? Was this the part where it's going to wipe out Bitcoin? Is it going to wipe it out here? No, it's not, right? Okay, all right. Let's keep going then. Let's keep going, and boom. Is that the part where it wipes it out? No? Okay, let's keep going. What about now? What about it hit 20,000 and we're coming down and it's now right here, right? Did any of that mirror any of these previous times? Any of that? Look at that. Any of these other times? Did it mirror any of that? Look. Right? 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 And you could go and go and go, and you're going to find very similar behavior. It might go to 7,000. It might go to 8,000, whatever. It might go to whatever number. But here's what I'm going to tell you, that there's a lot of interest in Bitcoin. It's one of the greatest inventions probably in all time outside of hamburgers. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, it's going to do this. It's going to correct itself, and just keep your head in the game. Just keep on it, because what's going to happen is if you start selling or getting antsy or thinking you lost money or whatever, it's not going to be good. It's going to turn out bad, right? So what I recommend is, at least for me, this is what I'm doing. In cases where markets get extremely volatile, sometimes you have to ignore the market. Just take a break from it, right? Don't go in and look at it every day and get stimulated by the markets, because it's very easy to do that. Couple that with the news and people talking about it, it's just not a good recipe for success, okay? And so hopefully I shed some light on the future and where I think Bitcoin is going to go. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just merely my opinion. I'm not telling anyone to get into Bitcoin or anything like that. But if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think Bitcoin is going to hit, okay? I'm really interested to see what's out there. Usually whatever your predictions are, they are usually correct. And share this, just click the share button and share this video on your YouTube. Share it with others, okay? And thanks a lot for visiting with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.